3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the RideBoundless podcast. I'm Robert Valderrama. Today I'm going to have two guests on. They're really good friends of mine. I'm going to have Mark and I'm going to have Jaime. This is the first episode. RideBoundless podcast is going to be about motorcycles, the motorcycle community, events, promotions, all the fun stuff that involves two wheels in Los Angeles starting now, and we'll grow and expand, and hopefully you'll join us on this journey. Make sure you subscribe, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, guys? I'm Robert Valderrama. This is the RideBoundless podcast. I'm here with Mark. I'm here with Jaime. We've been talking about launching this for 7 years, and now we're finally doing it. Long time. My experience is the motorcycle industry. This is what the podcast is going to be. It's going to be about motorcycles, cars, dirt bikes, anything and everything that you can ride, jet skis,
alcohol,
all of it.
Yeah.
My little quick history of my background. I used to work for Harley Davidson. Used to be the general manager and financial manager in Monterey in Van Nuys Harley Davidson. Ever since then, I've owned tons of Harleys. My first bike was a Honda Shadow. After that was a Sportster, and after that it was just a bunch of touring bikes, dynos, etc. My experience with motorcycles, I met Jaime and Mark. Jaime I met through a good friend of ours, Rio from Glendale Harley, when he used to work there, but now he works there again.
He's back.
He's back.
Back again.
Yeah, he's definitely back again, which is funny, 2 years later. And anyways, I'm going to introduce you to Jaime. Jaime, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Robert? Yeah, that's true. We met through Rio. I had just moved to LA, and I didn't know anybody who rode. And Rio just showed up in a party with his friend Ben.
Yep. Let me guess, he was drinking?
He was probably drinking, yeah.
Or drunk?
Yeah, no, not drunk, but he was drinking. And, it was amazing because he had a completely stock street bob out of the door.
Stock? What do you mean? Like nothing?
Like if the dealership didn't do any upgrades for him. It was a stock from the factory.
Right.
That's
usually what it means.
Right, exactly. There's other bikes that are not a stock, but
From the factory?
they get upgraded at the dealership.
Especially if you're an employee.
Exactly. I call that a stock too,
Yeah.
when the dealership does the upgrades for you. Even if it's paint or Marco's bike. So I met Rio, and he had a big group of basically customers that had bought their motorcycles on the dealership in Glendale. And we put together a crew to ride, and the rest is history. People have been falling out, joining in, falling out of the bike. And it's been growing, and we've been shooting pictures, which is what I do for a living, and
Well, just to clarify something, for other people that know us or that don't know us, the group you're talking about is called
Los Pepesio.
Los Pepesio.
Yeah, so it basically all started because I was in New York, and I didn't know anybody to ride the same as it happened in LA, like years after. And I would convince my friends to get motorcycles so we could ride together because I wanted to ride. And we formed a group of four or five people, and it was pretty cool. We just rode all the months of sun in New York City. And then when I moved to LA, I met Rio and the whole crew. And, the group was trimming down as people would like or not like the group. And it's continuing being just every weekend, every weekend trip. Continue.
They hate us because they
ain't us, definitely.
There's a lot of that, definitely.
And that's pretty much it. And then Mark was, a big part of on growing the crew with other kind of people that I would never have, imagined to hang out with, which I always appreciated. Yeah. And here he is.
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name is Mark. Mark Pineda on Instagram. I started riding like maybe 2-3 years ago. I bought a...
That's right, when we met. You and Chris both started riding.
I bought a Sportster 48, and I don't know if some of you guys know, but I'm a big dude, so I rode that for like 6 months, and I rode a street bob that Chris, who's not here, but he bought, and I was convinced like I need a bigger bike. So then I got a bigger bike, and the person who sold it to me was Rio, and that's how I got to know Rio. And he invited me out. He said, "You know what? Hey, I met this guy. He wants to start a little crew." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? I want to ride with anybody. I don't care." And that's how I met Jaime and Robert, and now we're here. Now it's history. But a lot has gone since that. I recently got a motorcycle accident about 6 months ago. It was
Talk facing the mic.
so much better this way. I got into a motorcycle accident on the freeway on the way to work, and I've been recovering ever since. So I haven't been riding motorcycles, but maybe one day, hopefully in a couple months, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know, but yeah. So far, that's it.
I'm happy you brought that up because we were going to talk about that more towards the end of the podcast. Keep people in suspense, and maybe we'll bring it back up. But we do want to pick your brain on if it's something you want to do or not do. What are the pros? What are the cons?
Yeah.
Is it strictly just because you got into an accident or whatever the case is? But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Jaime, like you said, you started up the group. It all started in New York. You wanted to get more people to ride. Then I guess Rio kind of brought a lot of us in because that's how I met you, was through Rio, visiting them at the dealership and checking them out. And now we're launching off this podcast. And the reason for this podcast is because we like to collaborate with a lot of companies. We like to go through different bikes. We like to rent bikes with Eagle riders and explore different roads. We want to do some international travels. And we just thought it'd be really nice for the group of people that we know in the community to share what we've learned, what we've learned by investing, by spending, by trading in, by exchanging, by trading. It's what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy, and that's kind of the whole purpose of this podcast. And hopefully, it's going to grow into much more and bigger things.
Well, I think we all have the experience of when we buy a bike. We all pass. Well, first of all, we all pass through the Sportster era. I think everybody that we know,
or the smaller motors.
Yeah, everybody that we know that we've ridden with, who mainly rode Harleys, we all had the Sportster I had it for 3 months, and then I got
4 months,
and then I got a Softail, and I crashed my Softail, and while it was repairing.
Hold on, before you continue, and I want this is a question to you and then to you, and I did a video on YouTube on what your first bike should be. Why did you get a Sportster first? Because remember, there's going to be some people that are going to listen, and this is the first time they're looking to get into a motorcycle.
It wasn't my first bike though.
Oh, it wasn't your first?
No.
Was it your first Harley?
It was my first Harley.
So why is there a tendency of why people continue getting a Sportster as their first bike?
Well, honestly, I think it's a budget thing. Once I started riding when I was 18, and I rode a sport bike. And then I crashed that one pretty badly, and since then in Spain everybody uses scooters, so I got a big scooter, and I rode through my last years living in Spain, scooters, and then when I go to the US, what more an American thing to do than buying a Harley? So I walked in the dealership, and basically my budget was for a Sportster. It wasn't.
Yours was a budget.
Yeah, I had it. I always like to buy in cash, and I had enough cash to buy a Sportster and nothing else.
Yours was budget.
Same for me. Yeah, I didn't want to spend. I saw a Lowrider S actually in the inside the dealership, and I thought it was badass.
Well, you're recent, so yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this badass, but I saw the price tag. I was like, I don't really need. I feel like I didn't really need that power, and I felt comfortable with the sports show. I was like, that's really all I need, But once you ride, it's like different.
No, 100%. The reason I keep asking that is because for me, I bought my first Sportster. I bought a 2007. No, my first new motorcycle, Harley Davidson, was like a 2007 1200 Classic or Custom.
Oh, custom. Yeah,
The
yeah.
one all chromed
The one
out.
with the one with the big tank.
The bigger tank,
Yeah.
the chromed out, everything. And that was my first bike. And I originally wanted to get the 883. They had like a cool looking 883 back then. But the sales guy talked me out of it. He goes, "Hey, I don't even want to sell you a sports show. You know, if you're gonna get a sports show, get the 1200 Classic. You know, because that's what I really wanted. But I was going for a budget thing.
So yeah,
But they tell me to go. I was going for smaller motors.
the salesperson, means a lot in the first purchase also, because I wanted to. The most important thing to me was I was gonna ride with my wife always. Although I had the hope that she was gonna get out of the bike and never want to ride again, she didn't. So I was riding in New York City with a Sportster 883, which was great for the city, but I was riding with my wife. So any trips that we were doing in an 883, and her ass, she would end up in a wheelchair after a 2-hour ride. So.
But what did the salesperson have to do?
Oh no, he didn't mention that the Sportster wouldn't be. I didn't know anything about Harleys, and he didn't mention that the Sportster wouldn't be a good bike for two people. Which is why I ended up taking later, 3 months after, the opposite direction, and I got a Heritage Classic, which is also not my bike.
Right.
Just because of the passenger situation.
I want to see you one of those.
No, yeah, the salesperson thing's a little tricky because I was the salesperson, and I bought the Sportster, and I regretted it 3 months later. My next bike after that was, it was when the Street Glide became the Street Glide. It was like the full, nice, lower suspension Street Glide. I got the cobalt blue one. Everybody used to make fun of me because they were hating. And they said
they hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because they ain't us. They're like, your bike is purple, and I'm like, no, motherfuckers, it's cobalt blue, and that was the official color. But at certain lightings, it kind of had like a little purple tint. And I had one of the first Street Glides. But anyways, my point is as a salesperson, people came in, they wanted to buy the Sportster, and I'd say, don't do it, don't do it. You're gonna regret it. It's a budget thing. Regardless if it's a budget thing, in 3 months you're gonna take a loss on the trade-in. You're gonna take a loss on the down payment. You're gonna hate it. And no matter how much I talk people away from it, people would still buy it.
Yeah, it's also the easiest. So people that don't really like that much the Harley Davidson concept is the easiest of the bikes that you can turn into a quote unquote cafe racer. So that's why they released the Roadster years after. And a lot of Roadsters, they sold out because people wanted the cafe racer Harley Davidson, which makes no sense. But they sold a lot of them.
Yeah, I kind of got upset after 6 months. I'm like, man, why didn't the salesman tell me that I should have got a bigger bike?
Who was the salesperson?
I forget his. I don't want to say no names.
I think it was John Michael.
Put the name of the dealer.
Nah, he was a nice guy. It was cool, and I get it. Most of these guys at the salesman, their just job is just to sell whatever, and most likely the easiest thing to sell is a Sportster. So
but that doesn't make sense either because you make more money selling a bigger bike.
Yeah, he was pushing me to get it. I'm like, yeah. He was like, yeah, you don't need to get. I'm like, all right.
So they were trying to push you on a bigger bike, but you declined.
No. They told me the Sports is the best for me. Like, I was good, because you're only approved for this certain amount.
Seeing how big he is.
And I was like, motherfuckers, man. Like, they got me. But I think everybody kind of goes through that a little bit.
Everybody goes
a lot of people mostly.
I was stupid twice. Because as I said, I bought a Sportster. I blame the salesperson for that. And then I sit on a street bob and they told me, oh yeah, that is not going to be great for a passenger either. Because the suspension is kind of the same as the Sportster. Get a Softail which wobbles more, and I went for the biggest one that they had. That was the Heritage Classic. So I spent about three years trying to turn my Heritage Classic into a Softail Slim or something similar to a Dyna. Mm-hmm. And then once I finished, I got a Lowrider S.
That's a good move. That's a dope ass bike.
Now, so many things to talk about. I didn't like my Lowrider S. I had a 2016. I did enough things to it. I mean, I didn't go full out like most people. Like Trevor, my boy Trevor. He's changed have you seen his Instagram? Mm-hmm. He's changed everything and has customized everything.
He also make
parts. Yeah, he grabs brass and he grabs parts and he cuts it. It looks like a ship. It looks like a pirate ship. He does crazy. So I didn't go that crazy. but I really did not like my FXDLS. I had an FXDXT 2003 anniversary edition, 100th anniversary gunmetal blue, which I missed the shit out of the fucking bike. Ernie from Glendale set that one up. He fixed that one up to an attorney, and then the attorney sold it like 5 years later. He had 30 grand into it or something, 28,000. And this is back in the days before it was pot. Like you guys are coming in where it's like, oh, everybody's Sons of Anarchy, this, that. This was before that. This is the FXDXT was a terrible seller at Harley Davidson.
Really?
It was, nobody wanted to buy the bike. Nobody cared. Nobody cared for the bags. There was no, the T-bars. It had a little. The standard thing that you would do is you would take the Night Train Harley. You would take, it had like 11-inch risers, I think. No, 6-inch risers. And you would just swap those out. And then you'd grab Sportster bars, put that on top, and that was like the max you could do. And that was fucking
I think
amazing.
you mentioned something there that is important. Sons of Anarchy. People likes to say that they're not influenced by Sons of Anarchy, but that is full on bullshit.
100%.
It's full on bullshit because
that's bullshit.
before Sons of Anarchy, nobody, in our age, we were T-bars. They were like the Roland Sands, like ape, basically square apes were the inest thing for a Dyna.
Well, the people there was a small percentage of people that did that, and that came a lot of from the Hells Angels.
Correct.
Because the only people that were really buying the T Sports were a lot of Hells Angels. They were doing the T Sports. They were doing the side pegs, the foot pegs.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to go forward controls. All the good riders wanted to go mid controls, and not only did they want to go mid controls, but they wanted to go high.
And obviously,
and they wanted to ride like that. And the reason they wanted it so high is
to
you could
pack
take
for the wind.
turns. No, so you could take turns at fucking 100 miles an hour without your peg
Scraping, yeah.
So which movie am I thinking about?
I don't know.
There's a few. I think it's called Hell's Angels, like a 1980 or 1978, and you see it like
No, Easy Rider.
no, not easy.
No.
It's Hell's Angels. And you see that setup, but yeah, you're right. The general public knew nothing of that.
And Sons of Anarchy is inspired by the Hells Angels because one of the cast members actually was hired only as a consultant, and he was a former Hells Angel.
HA.
And he basically, gave them all the insight of how do they ride their bikes and stuff, and then they put him on the show, and he's happy.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Happy, the character? He's the one that was a consultant.
I never really saw it though. I never saw it. I saw a couple episodes, but I swear, I didn't even know what it was and shit. I started seeing all these T-bars, fucking Harleys, and this quote unquote club style, and it looks fucking sick. I fell in love with it, and that's what made me want to get Street Bob 2017, and that was fun. I was doing a lot of work to it, a little bit here and there.
Well, I think partners have also helped us a lot. Having brands being our partners in our builds, I think, helped us a lot guide the direction that we were all going.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you went through at least 2 sets of Two Brother pipes on your bike.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Even if we wouldn't partner with them, we all ended up having the Salomon seat.
Right.
Everybody gets the same parts.
Same Memphis Shade, Road Warriors.
Which I'm gonna bring up this other point. I started like customizing bikes a lot sooner than you guys, obviously. Especially because I'm older and I was working in the dealership and blah blah blah.
He looks young.
Yeah. But what I wanted to say is there wasn't this many partners back then. Your customization was very limited. Even Harley wasn't making much stuff. Harley wasn't making seats for their bikes.
Well, Harley seems to be responding to competition.
No.
I mean right now.
Now they're starting to get up there, but you don't understand. Custom Chrome was like the only company that was like selling nice custom chrome parts. Clockworks is one of the older shields that you used to have. Now you have, 1,000 other companies. Saddleman came up like crazy, just starting to make up, seats for everybody. And maybe they were around back then.
Lepera seems to be a...
Lepera, well, back then it was Corbin and Lepera. Lepera's been around for a long ass time that everybody knows. And so has Corbin. Corbin was like the typical guy, had the gunfighter. Mm-hmm. And that was like the standard seat that you get on a dyno. which is funny talking about seats. I was thinking about that Carlos at Saddleman. He was like, because when we bought our seats, he's all, hey, these are a little rough, you know. He goes, yeah. I go, about 1,000 miles to break in, huh? He goes, seats don't break in, people's asses break in. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Anyways, but to finish my point, it's very good that there's a lot of companies making a lot of products, and now we can all buy the exact same bike, which we've had the conversation, and by the time you spend $3,000-$4,000, all our bikes are going to look completely different, and I think that's awesome. And
I also think that Harley's
stepping up,
yeah. Especially the last year's release, with the new Lowrider S, they added like the fairing. Kind of looks like the club style fairing everyone's rocking. Half quarter fairing, whatever it is. And then the bars, they came out with with T-bars.
Because mine comes, my 2017 came with a really similar fairing than the new one.
But this was more of like a shell shape, like a shell.
It was a little bigger.
Well, 2017 is the small one.
Yeah, but this one is not that much bigger.
Oh, okay.
The new one is not that much bigger. The one that comes with it.
But it's very like the shell shape. You know, it's like everybody kind of likes that. Either there's two looks, the shell shape one from like Memphis Shades or what, I don't know what other company makes it, and then the taller kind of fairing.
The classic T-Sport or whatever.
T-Sport fairing, yeah.
Or
which is my favorite.
Or the Road Warrior.
Yeah, the Road Warrior. There's a couple, like 3 companies that make very similar.
Yeah, I mean the
fairings.
T-Sport mainly. I think the one that people buy is Connelly.
Yeah, and they're all so expensive. $400 and up. My favorite is Memphis Shades. Shout out to Memphis Shades.
Yeah, Memphis Shades is
hooking us up.
I actually need a
Wait
shield.
a second. I need to have a grammatic question.
Yeah.
Shout out is something nobody should ever say, right? Because shout out is you saying, "Hey, thank you, Memphis Shades," but you don't say the words "shout out to Memphis Shades." You're already shouting it out by saying their name.
No, you could say shout out to Memphis Shades.
It's like a
Oh, you
saying.
do? Because sometimes people on Instagram say, "Shout out to everybody who helped me put this together," but you're not shouting out anybody.
Yeah, but what you're saying is like putting a bunch
Right?
of hashtags without the hashtag.
I get it. No, it doesn't. No, because in the hashtag thing, it doesn't work if you don't put the hashtag. You know what I mean?
It doesn't work. Exactly. And
That's what I'm asking. If it's a grammatic question. Would you say shout out to Memphis Shades, or would you say, "Oh, thank you, Memphis Shades, for this"?
No, you could say shout out to Memphis Shades.
But you don't have to say the name after shout out. You can just say shout out for those who give us the fairings, and they'll be like, "Oh, great, they mentioned us." No,
yeah, it's gonna sound weird if you say like shout out to Memphis Shades for sending me a 2020 Street Glide Shield to my address at Burbank, California.
no, not that. I'm just asking if you have to say, whatever.
No, you could definitely say shout out to shout out. Shout out to Jaime for interrupting the conversation, dragging it out for another 5 minutes.
Okay,
shout out to Mark to continue.
Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. But the looks. I'm talking about the looks of fairings. Harley is definitely seeing what's happening. There's a scene going on, especially in Southern California with the whole club style look. And then there's like a performance style Harley that's been happening for a couple of years now. Especially when I was riding, and a couple of the guys I would ride with, we would ride aggressively in the canyon. So you would take this heavy ass Harley and turn it into something you can lean it and kind of treat it like a sports bike.
Which is something I like to discuss again, because I think you don't really need to do much to a Lowrider S that is stock to ride it aggressively. Even obviously, I would change the pipes, I would retune it and whatever. But a stock bike Lowrider S, you can ride pretty aggressive with it, except that you might touch the pegs in the floor. But if you lift a little bit the suspension, there's not much. I think people like overthink of what the customization in performance, because you don't really need to change the performance. The bikes that they're saying right now with 114 cubic inches, they really don't need much to be performance bikes. They're already performing pretty fucking well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the suspension.
Face the mics one.
The suspension for sure, I think, is a big upgrade that you need to do if
Sure,
you want to ride.
'cause they're cheap.
aggressive.
And I think that's one of the least ones that people do.
Yeah, suspension. Yeah, overlook that.
I think the basics are, the first one is
Pipes.
Pipes for sure.
You know, the second is,
I would do suspension second.
Yeah, I would do suspension.
but most
too.
people, I know.
Bars. People
Bars.
change
Bars.
bars.
Everybody does. Okay,
So
so
the first thing is suspension,
Well,
next
this,
thing is bars.
this is
That's
one of the things that
standard.
you always told me. I took some time to change my bars because I felt comfortable with them, and then when I changed them, I did start riding way faster because I was way more in control of the bike.
yeah, but I've noticed and I've read and seen because we would get like 14-inch fucking risers, you know, or T-bars.
My bars are 11 inches.
Mine were, I think, 14. Mine were high as fuck. And I started realizing that I don't
Mine's
need them
were
that
13.
high. I like them because of the look.
So I think there's gonna be a balance. They have to be high enough that you are close to your shoulders, but not passing your shoulders. And
Yeah.
I think that was the problem because you start losing control. I mean, you can add control by putting them higher, but then once you pass your shoulders, you lose control. I think.
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
is
Yeah,
that-
but I don't think that they pass their shoulders at all. Back to customization on the Harleys is you're right. Harley is picking up their game.
For
Because
sure.
I just picked up the 2020 Street Glide, and this is the first time I've seen them do black wheels. They did the black forks. They did the black engine guard. They did the inner fairing, shiny black. They did the black handlebars. They did a lot of things black. I mean, the only thing they left unblack was the kickstand, which I think is ridiculous.
Always.
And they always do something.
The head of the engine.
And the levers. The head of the engine. I know it looks a little chrome, but I think it's like a black chrome.
The inner rocker is black.
Oh,
It's
the-
chromed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but the ones that really get to me are the kickstand and the
Yeah,
levers.
they used to fuck up the levers. Yeah, they always.
No, the levers are still no
No, I mean the brake,
well,
the clutch
brake,
and the.
just to clarify, the brake levers and the
Clutch.
front and the clutch, those are black. But I'm talking about the little release lever of the saddlebag.
Oh
The
yeah,
little
yeah.
lever, they're chrome, you know. And now for $150, it's going to cost me to get these two little things blacked
they are?
out. Yeah, over here they're chrome.
Oh, I didn't see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
anyways, you know, let's wrap it up. The next podcast, we're going to talk about adventure bikes and how we adventured to Joshua Tree by Palm Springs and what that sparked into and our thoughts versus Harley and other bikes. So click, like, follow, tune in, and
Subscribe.
subscribe.
This is.
And
You can follow me on Mark Pineda on Instagram.
on Insta.
You won't be seeing a lot of bikes anymore though. You will see a lot of crutches and wheelchairs.
Yeah, you probably won't see anything at all actually, but I'm still there. I'm still active.
You can definitely follow Los Pepes CO.
Los Pepes CO. And on Instagram, you can follow RideBoundless. And on Twitter and Facebook, it's all RideBoundless. I think on Twitter, it's RideBoundless1. Anyways, thanks for listening.